Well, welcome everybody to our latest session of the Restoration of Cariele. As usual, I'll do a quick recap of what occurred last week, and then we'll get started. So, team, when we picked up last week, you guys were in the lair of the ghost troll that you had just recently defeated the previous session. After the troll was defeated, you guys spent a bit of time searching around his lair, seeing what you could find. You did eventually find that there was a passageway to your southwest that was across a stone bridge. However, the passageway looked like it was blocked off by a lot of rubble. After some investigation there by Dian and some by Tabard, the team was unable to determine just how deep the rubble was there, how much blockage, how long it would take to clear, and so forth. But nonetheless, Dian decided to start clearing some of that out anyhow. Some of the rest of the team had been poking and prodding around this area. Previously, we had Cerilia stick a glaive into this weird effect on the ground, this sort of half circle of blackness that was dotted with almost looked like lights, points of light. And the glaive that she stuck there got stuck, in fact, and she was unable to retrieve it. It seemed as though it was just connected there by an incredible force. With that complete, and with Dian and Tabard in the southwest kind of checking out that rock passageway, Cerilia was scanning around, crossing the bridges. After a little while, she eventually saw a flickering light approaching from the west, which is the way the group originally came from. She called out to the rest of the team, letting them know that somebody was approaching, and eventually the team was able to determine it was Griffin. Griffin had come. He looked quite a bit dazed, as though he had just gone through some horrible ordeal. And after speaking with him for a bit, the team was able to determine that that's exactly what happened. In fact, the expedition force had been attacked by Orogs, according to Griffin. So he explained that it had been some time. The Orogs had attacked. He was able to hide somewhere, and he's pretty sure that the Orogs had taken everybody and taken them to, he didn't know where exactly, but taken them away from where they previously were, which was the area of gold, where the team had sort of set up to start mining. So with that knowledge at hand, the team had decided to try to track back to where the Orogs must have taken the expedition. And so they followed that back up the tunnel past the waterfall and found themselves back into the rough tunnels that they had previously seen a rough drawn map by Dwali. The team was able to determine that the Orogs had looped back around they came, but instead of going all the way to the Grell chamber, they took a separate path, a separate tunnel that the team had previously spotted but had decided not to go down. So the team decided to follow it this time, and it essentially looped around in a big U, descending to go back towards the Orogs' lair. So as the team made their way in that direction, relying on Dian's robe to allow him to see quite a bit farther than typical, he was eventually able to spot some of these stone little barricades that were created and determined that it likely was the area of the Orogs. The team then engaged in some deep discussion about how to proceed. Should they just charge forward? Should they try to go back through the Grell chamber and come in through the other way? Or possibly head all the way back to the ghost troll lair and see if that black passage might somehow also lead in a different direction that would be more advantageous. Eventually the team decided to just kind of plug on in from where they were, and the team found themselves pretty quickly in combat with this Orog force. Luckily, we had an invisibility spell on both Tabard and on, I think it was Cerilia, yep. And then as the team was pushing forward there, Cerilia and Tabard spotted a couple of these Orogs standing behind some of these rock barricades, and eventually, as they tried to pass, the Orogs detected Cerilia's presence there. She wasn't exactly quiet, even though she was invisible, and they tried to give an alert, essentially reaching for a war horn at the side of one of the Orogs, but Tabard was able to slap it out of the strap on the Orog's arm, slap it away before the Orog could reach it and blow the horn. So with that war horn kind of clattering on the ground of the tunnel, the team found themselves more in a proper combat. The rest of the team was hanging back a bit and started pushing forward, getting closer. Team found themselves engaged in combat in sort of the tunnel, then a smaller chamber with some elevation, pushed down into a much larger chamber Eventually, Tabard was sort of out front on one side of this larger chamber on a little bit of an elevated platform area made of rock. And as he was engaging some of the Orogs there, and the Orogs had been over the battle shouting to one another in Orog, which only Cerilia understood, and were calling for the team to essentially get pulled in closer to what they called Shredder. Eventually, Shredder revealed himself as he was a massive creature that was hiding in one of the yurts. He broke free from it, leapt across, and engaged Tabard in combat. Tabard then wisely decided to get out of dodge and back up closer to his allies. And then Dian brought down a sleet storm, which covered the entire area in frost and freeze, and just very difficult to see through. The visibility was essentially nil in there. The team had spotted some of the prisoner dwarves from the expedition inside that area, but Dian assumed that this would be better to give an advantage to the team. There was then some beckoning for Saline to send a fireball down there, but she decided not to do so due to the fact that it would likely incinerate some of the expedition dwarves, and likely that is part of the reason why the dwarves were set up that way and spread out to try to prevent the team from using their massive fireballs, which had been so effective against the Orogs originally. So as the team continued battling the Orogs were slipping and sliding around in the sleet. Shredder was able to emerge from the sleet and take the battle to our player characters. He pushed through the tunnel and eventually turned into like a ball formation. So think of this as like tucking down and then rolling forward at pretty fast speed. He was able to impale both Blixel and Dian on his spikes of his body and rolled down the tunnel back into where most of the group was kind of gathered here. And this turned out to be a sort of the center of attention for the rest of the battle, as the team was trying to defeat Shredder, hitting him as best they could, but as they did so, if they were within 5 feet, they were suffering some damage from those spikes on his body. He also was striking out pretty forcefully. Eventually, he had Blixel unconscious on his spines and plucked him off of there, getting ready to perform a coup de grace, stabbing Blixel right through the heart to try to steal his bloodline. Luckily, however, Cerilia had her Hero Stone empowered ring powered up, and she was able to throw out some healing magic to keep Blixel away from death. The team all combined together with their efforts to take Shredder down, and eventually it was Blixel himself then that got the opportunity to return the favor and perform blood theft on Shredder the Anshalan, thus taking his bloodline and increasing Blixel's own bloodline by a decent amount. With that battle concluded, as far as Shredder having been defeated, the rest of the Orogs pretty quickly lost their will to fight, and in a very hastily agreement that Cerilia was able to negotiate with the other side, the Orogs were willing to give up the dwarves as long as the player characters and the dwarves made their way out of here and did not return. Thanks to a very late night for all of us, that was a hastily agreed to agreement, and the team took the dwarves and made their way out of this area back into the tunnels proper. And team, that is my quick recap of what occurred last week. If there's anything I missed that you would like to add, feel free.
I would just add that Shredder seemed to be able to smell the fact that Blixel was.
Yes, indeed. Go and take inspiration, Blixel. Right, Shredder, the Anshalan, seemed to be able to detect that Blixel and Tabard both were scions and said this essentially under his breath and very broken and weary as he was getting ready to engage them. Anybody else have anything? All right, if nothing else, then let me go ahead and dish out a card to everybody and we will get started. All right, everybody should now have a card. Take a moment to review it and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so team, I'm going to go ahead and put us back over on the tunnel map. All right, quick technical check. Is everybody else able to hear the music? Let me try. Yeah, but it's actually audible. You can actually hear it. All right, good enough. So it sounds like something probably just isn't working on my end because I'm not hearing the music. But as long as you guys can hear it, that's the important part. All right, so we find ourselves back in the tunnels. You guys have the full expedition with you. They are all very much weary and worn from their experience. What would you guys like to do? You certainly can on your way back. The Orogs that were there that would have witnessed that are since been slain, so no one will stop you if you scoop that up on your way out. You guys have left the Orog location the way you entered. You're probably about 100 feet or so off the map at the moment. For east, I will... Well, why don't I put you guys on Dwali's map? So you can think of yourselves as being roughly here-ish at the moment. Yes, your short rest, your ability to take short rest is based on the day. So once it becomes a new day, essentially when you wake up in the morning, say, 8 a.m. or whatnot, your short rest recharge. You see, as you call out to him, he's like really dragging at this point, and he kind of raises his head. He's rubbing his arms where his arms were tied with rope. And then you see he looks back while you're still relatively far enough away from the Orogs, and he just looks to you and he gives you a solemn nod as he narrows his eyes. Well, what do you mean? Do you mean like tactical or what? I didn't see any gold, but I sure seemed like they were living there with those yurts and things. They were there. The people were going in and out of them, but mostly they were just kind of like throwing rocks at us and laughing and stuff. You see, Dwali nods. Um, yeah, I think it. And you see, he keeps walking. You get the impression that he like wants to be far away from them before he says anything. It was a little over a day, yeah, to go from Carolinian out to here. Because if you remember, you guys traveled, camped, woke up in the morning, and then entered. I would think if we can make our way out of here, but if you're thinking that, we need a rest before we move on out, then yeah, we got to just find some place, hopefully protected. You guys can like kind of protect us while we recover. We're all pretty beat up, so yeah, if we could just take some time to rest and relax, I'm sure it would help us. Yeah, I mean, as far as time, again, this measurement isn't an exact idea, but it probably would take you somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes to go there. Oh yeah, there was a lot of different places. I mean, think about those holes. I mean, I know they got dead, smelly worms in them, but there's hiding spots there, and then there was that ridge on the south side of the ravine. There'd be hiding spots there. There was hiding spots in different places. Yeah. All right, so it sounds like the plan is to make your way past the waterfall, past the gold place, back to the ghost troll's lair, and your intention is to try to pass time in the ghost troll lair. Okay, then I'm going to assume you guys slowly make your way through these various tunnels and you go past the area where there was the waterfall, and then you get back to the part where there's the gold. You notice some of the dwarves kind of looking at the gold, and you definitely can get the impression that even though they are quite tired and they are very much exhausted, they're kind of looking at it with almost like looks of longing. You do spend maybe 15-20 minutes here as the dwarves go through collecting some of the things that were scattered. They mention the tents, like should they take all the tents with them? They're kind of looking to Dwally, and you see him kind of looking towards you guys, and essentially he's asking, are you planning to go to the other room to rest, or should he have them pack all the tents up and then bring them to this area to unpack them all? Is the intention to try to sleep, or is you guys just kind of hanging out. He's trying to get more info. All right, so packing up is certainly going to take some time. So the dwarves will get started on that. Are you guys waiting until they're all packed up before you make your way to the ghost troll room? They look like they're so like worn down and beaten that they're not arguing. They're just like kind of moving, picking something up, and you'll see them go like, oh, like holding a wound or just stretching an arm out and kind of moving it. So they certainly don't like look like they're objecting to any assistance anyone's going to offer. So this whole process, however, is going to take a while. Let's see. How about Terrid? Why don't you go ahead and roll me a d4? No, it's just because you're a dwarf and they're dwarves, you know. All right, so it only ends up taking you about an hour, in fact. Maybe they're all just really excited to get moving. Maybe there's a little bit more pep in their step. But yeah, they do all manage to kind of get this packed with a little bit of assistance from you guys, pulling all of the tents up out of the ground, kind of packing them up as best they can. You notice there's a few situations where things have been destroyed because of the worms and the holes that were burrowed. Some of these tents are just not really salvageable, but they are able to pack up the majority of them, 6 of them in total, in fact, and then kind of going through, grabbing some other supplies. Yeah, so about an hour or so, they pack that all up. You guys then push on into the ghost troll room. During that hour, I think, Serena, you're the only one that still has a short rest left, but if you wanted to take it, you could. All right, I will go ahead and apply that if you want to go ahead and deduct a short rest from your display. And then make sure you type in what it is that you're using for a short rest. Okay, yeah, that should work. Okay, so after that bit of time packing up and so forth, you guys then make your way over to the ghost troll lair. All right, so as the dwarves are kind of meandering in, you'll notice eventually they do spot this strange dark effect, and they are very curious but also cautious, and Dwally kind of guides them around and makes sure that they don't get too close to there, and he's going to eye this spot here as being perhaps a decent spot to like get tents set up if you guys are again are planning to like actually sleep here. They're, you know, if not, then they can obviously, you know, take essentially a short rest just by relaxing. Okay, sure. So yeah, you would have about an hour or so then of time while they're trying to, you know, recover just from some of their wounds. What would you guys like to do during this hour? Go ahead and give me a blind check here, Dean. Yeah, nothing looks out of the ordinary. As best you can tell, everything looks the same as you left it. No, there is not. Okay, go ahead and let's see. How much damage do you deduct? I'm just trying to figure out if it even matters if you fall. This is 20 feet. So if you fell from 20 feet, 2d6, do you automatically deduct at least 12? So 25. So yeah, so basically it doesn't matter how long it takes you. So you can roll if you want just for glamour, but because there's no real risk here, eventually you get to the top. That was not very glamorous, but you get to the top. No, you guys short rested in the hour of packing back in the waterfall / gold room. Now you're here, so yeah, her short rest is already done. Yeah, and a reminder, you can make these public because these are just athletics checks, but for that one, I will say, Serena, you're struggling to climb up, and then you notice as you're kind of holding onto this rope, you do find a little bit of a purchase in the rock wall. You kind of kick up off of that, and between you and the effort that Tabor's putting into this, you do manage to get to the top. Yep, you're able to get up, no problem as well, Dean. Yeah, you don't see anything else out of the ordinary based on passive perception. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is, because this is obviously going to be an in-depth effort, I'm going to ask each of you to throw an athletics check, and this is going to represent an hour of work. All right, so that's a total of 31 in hours of work. Okay, so it's really hard to gauge this because, and I'm trying to make sure I'm explaining this well, but because this entire chamber right here is filled with rock from the bottom to the top, there's no way to know how much rock is back here, right? So you're taking pieces of rock and you're kind of making a little conga line. Maybe one hands it back to the other one, hands back to the other. But probably due to this fight you've just been in and how long you've been down here, it's a little bit slow going. Like maybe you grab a rock and then you take a moment, stretch out, your back hurts, you're wiping your head, sweat off your brow, grab another rock, do this sort of thing. You've made, I will say, a little bit of progress in this hour of work, meaning you've probably got a small pile of rocks here now, but this looks to be at least 50 times more than what you've got here. No. Now remember, you can't see through solid objects, so no. Yeah, so basically, even Right. Even if there was something ethereal inside the rock, you wouldn't see it, right? Because it's behind a solid object. So, no, you don't see anything. You're just looking at rock. And as a reminder, going down is much easier. So if you have assistance, I won't even make you roll. You can go down. That was the last one. Yes, the dwarves have completed their short rest, and they've recovered some of their wounds, some more than others. All right, so as you guys are kind of planning what to do, you notice Wally looks to be a little bit better. Still not in great shape, but he obviously is better than he was moments ago. You'll notice he does indeed pull his map out. He kind of dusts it off as he recovered it from the area where the gold was when you guys were just there a little over an hour ago. So he's going to kind of look out over it and say, okay, so we have a plan. We're trying to get out of here, right? Oh, I thought you had a plan, but I just wanted to make sure we had this mapped out to make sure what, was safe and all. They are not. If they were there before, you don't see that they're still of good quality. It's almost like the session that card was played is not this session. So this shelf life, good pun. All right, so is this the intended route you're trying to take? Okay, so what I will say is you guys are able to backtrack. You have all of your stuff on you. Again, you're moving a little bit slower just to wounds and tiredness and so forth. You're making your way back here, and as you're getting closer to the Grell chamber, because you're anticipating that might be dangerous, we'll go ahead and pause there to say, is there any special preparations you're taking as you're getting closer? Okay, go ahead and burn that. Is this a slotted thing, or what is this from? Oh, okay, I missed that you burnt the slot. There it is. All right, yeah, good to go. I believe it's just limited to the number of uses you have, right? Oh, yep, good call. Once a creature receives this benefit, they can't receive it again until after a long rest. So since she rolled them in a row and just said AFK, I'm going to assume the 2 goes to Blixel and the 3 to Dia. I don't think you can choose a 1 and a 2. You could take only a 2 or only a 1, but again, really 3 is your best bet. Yeah, so you only get 1 slot. So, yep, a 3 back to Dian and a 2 to Blixel. All right, so you guys enter from the north as you guys were coming from the waterfall/gold area, finding yourself back here. You may recognize this, hopefully you do. You know that you're bending around and going to the west if your intention is to go through the Grell Chain. Okay. You're saying, right, you're saying you don't see any opponents. All right, so Thorn and Wally are conversing, essentially saying that they're going to hang back and wait till you let them know that it's safe to come through. I will move her with the assumption that she's going to follow you guys. you can certainly ask them to move if you wish. They're saying they're going to hold back until you tell them, yeah, it's safe to come forward. All right. All right. I'm assuming based on your passive perceptions, you're keeping your eyes peeled. And by stay there, that means you're trying to stay behind. Got it. Okay, so once you guys are to about there, I'm going to ask for active perception checks for everybody except Tavard. So Dian, Saline, Blixel, and Serena. This will be blind checks. I threw one for Serena because I don't think she's back yet. Wow, okay, surprisingly, everybody failed this check. So, with advantage, yes. So, yeah, so none of you are aware of this occurring. You're obviously keeping your eyes peeled as best you can. So, the way I'm going to interpret this is even as you're sort of watching and you're looking, it's like the moment that your eyes kind of look in the other direction is right when this event occurs. So you can think of this as being like a surprise, right? So regardless of initiative, you guys will lose your first turn in battle because you are surprised. I'm gonna go ahead and throw everybody into initiative. I'm gonna throw Dwally in as well as a reminder. He represents the expedition. Well, it can't change anything that's already occurred. But if you wish to play your card... Yeah, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to play this right now because the rolls have already occurred. It's the bane of all of our existence. I definitely feel that. Okay, so unfortunately, as everybody has failed this check, and everyone is surprised. So, Tavern, you're back there just kind of looking towards the tunnel and then kind of motioning for the individuals to pass you, letting them know, you're going to kind of try to take the rear, make sure nothing comes up from behind. Dian, you're kind of just scoping this area out. You've passed the first ledge and you're making your way back into where the strike first occurred. Saline, you're also kind of just following along, keeping your eyes peeled for any signs of danger. Serena, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're out front. You got Shipwrecker in hand. You're waiting in this area. Over the top of the ledge, the creature that you fully expected might be here, in fact, is here and emerges over the ledge. Remember, this ledge is 20 feet up. As the creature moves to the ledge, it is going to look down and it is going to see, I think, most of you. It is going to see the three of you. So, let's see. Okay, Serena and Blixel, both of you are targets of a lightning ray. So I'll need both of you to give me defensive rolls, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I said Serena? I meant Saline. Okay, so, but that's fine. We're going to say that goes to Cerilia since you passed it. So both of those lightning rays shoot up from the top of the ledge, and they do not strike into either of you, as even though you weren't aware the creature was there, perhaps just being more prepped or more prepared, you are not hit by this bolt of lightning or lightning ray. So with that complete, you will notice the creature slinks back along the ledge. Blixel, you're still surprised, shocked that this is happening. Same with Thorn. The expedition is kind of waiting for the go-ahead. So we move to the top of the next round. Taver, you've certainly heard this sound of ray, like blasts, I would say, hitting the ground. It is your turn. What would you like to do? The ledge to your west, as a reminder, it's just shy of 20 feet. Sure. Yeah, again, it's not a guarantee climb, and you'd have to climb at half your speed since you don't have a climb speed, but you could certainly try. Okay. All right, Dian, you've heard these blasts of lightning as well. Your turn. You cannot. That is a wall by you. The ledge starts here. The ledge is all this. Okay, and a reminder, produce flames range is 30 feet, right? Okay. All right, Saline. Okay. Okay, Cerilia. Just shy of 20 feet. Okay, so you draw a javelin from your side. You now have javelin, and then you have shipwrecker in one hand. Okay. Okay, very similarly to what it did the first time, it's going to be very low to the ground, and it's going to etch off of the edge here. So that will trigger readied action. So if you are in range and you can make your attack, go ahead and do so. Okay, Cerilia, you throw your javelin, but your javelin strikes into the wall. Saline, your firebolt misses. Okay, and then from there, the creature has multiple targets now. All right, so one at Serena and one at Dian. Both of you guys, please give me defensive rolls. Okay, Serena, you are indeed struck by this lightning ray. You will take 14 points of lightning damage, and you can't use reactions until the start of your next turn. The creature will slink back along the ledge as we move to Blixel. All right, Thorn is going to step in front of the expedition, and he and Wally are trying to keep everybody from panicking. Next to the top of the next round, Tavard. Well, keep in mind again, this is all 6 seconds. You can shout like run, but if you're like, hey guys, what is it that we really should? You don't really have time for that. All right, Tavard, your turn. Okay, the end. I mean, you can see part of it if you're trying to cast it on top of there. I'd let you do that. All right. So the option you're selecting is one creature of CR2. All right, so you cast this spell wishing for some kind of beast to suddenly assist you. Well, essentially, that's my creative way of saying the magic takes effect and randomly pulls forth a polar bear. All right, so the polar bear appears on the top of the ledge. Let's see, roll initiative for some creature as a group. Okay, so it's going to roll initiative. Okay, and it will act when it is its turn. So that was your turn. You're concentrating. Anything else? As a reminder, again, just so you don't shoot yourself in the foot here, it says they obey any verbal commands you issue them. Are you issuing them a command? Him a command? Okay. Enough since Dean's saying it, sure. And in fact, you know what? Just because I feel like it would totally make sense, I'm even going to give you the Cave Bear variant, so he actually has dark vision. Saline, your turn. Okay, Serena. Okay, which shouldn't come as much of a surprise. You suddenly feel a strange sensation, almost like a static on the back of the nape of your neck, and suddenly this area is filled with fog. All right, once it is filled with fog, you guys won't be able to see inside this area anymore. So I'm going to do a quick dynamic lighting little circle. Okay, so as that fills the area and makes it difficult for anybody to see much of anything, all right, then the creature might move. You're not really sure because it's, it's hard to see much in there. Elixir, it is your turn. So you won't be able to technically move your token through there, but if your intention is to run through the darkness, let me know where it is you're trying to go. Okay. All right, so you guys have instructed the expedition to move and dodge. So Thorn will move up. Wally will tell everybody to kind of do the same. Okay, now you've asked the bear to attack. It is going to kind of thrash around up in this area in the darkness. Even kind of moves around a bit, just trying to see if it can bump into anything. And that's its turn. Tavern, your turn. I like the attempt. Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Dean. All right, go ahead and post that. I believe it lets you pick a cube. Right, so 30-foot cube won't be as big as a 20-foot radius, I don't believe. Because a 30-foot cube, let me just do a quick math here. So 30-foot cube. I feel like that's a 30-foot cube. That's an odd measurement because you usually don't see it said that way. But is it safe to assume you're trying to knock the fog out from the path? Okay, so what I'm going to do then is just do some rough guesses here on how much fog it takes away. All right, I'm going to say it's kind of like that. So there is fog still remaining, but it's only essentially up in the ledge at this point. The 30-foot cube has knocked the fog away in this area. You are now going to spot the creature hovering 15 feet in the air, and its tentacles draped down in anticipation of grabbing the tasty morsel that passes underneath it. You do, yeah. Sure. Yeah, go ahead. That will not connect. Okay. Okay, you fling your dart through the air. You notice as the dart is flashing towards the creature, suddenly you see this barrier appears as it raises one of its tentacles and just shakes it a little bit. And your dart is striking into the barrier. Okay, Saline. Give me a blind check. It does not. Yeah, you're quite confident that is the shield spell. Ooh. All right, go ahead and click your inspiration. We will add 7 to whatever you roll. Okay, nice. So that will count as a critical. Go ahead and throw a radiant crit. And that is saying out of ammo, so I'm assuming did you not give yourself inspiration at the beginning of this session for your recap? Okay, so not... do you have one after you spent it, or you're now down to 0? Okay, just wanted to do a double check. Okay, maximum amount of damage for normal dice, then roll them again, and creature is frightened. Okay, nice. So go ahead and post damage. We'll take max plus whatever you roll. You'll probably have to post the spell just so you can click it to do your damage. All right, so max is 16 plus 10, 26 damage of radiant. It is going to succeed on its concentration check, keeping that a little bit of fog still up. All right, and it is now frightened to the end of its next turn. Frightened in general, you guess you could say, but as far as the movement effect, he can't move closer to you. Okay, Serena. Quick reminder, the creature is currently flying 15 feet up in the air. Her reach is only 10 feet. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you can't extend the reach just by, grabbing it at a certain angle. Okay, so you draw another javelin from your side. Go ahead and throw it. 12 will miss. The only way you can extra attack with the javelin is if you start your turn with a javelin in hand. Okay, yep, they certainly see that and recognize it. Okay, creature's turn. Blixel, you're the closest one, and you're currently within reach, so it is going to attempt to attack you. Its tentacles lash out towards you. I'll need a defensive roll. You get to make this at advantage since the creature is certainly currently frightened. That. All right, go ahead and burn your inspiration, and we will add 6 to your roll. All right, that gives you a 20, and that will be enough so that the creature does indeed miss you. After it misses you... Okay, after it misses you with the tentacles, you're going to notice that it ascends into what remains of the fog. Blixel, your turn. Correct. If you can see through it, there's not fog there. Do that to make it a little bit more clear. Okay, so Thorn and the expedition hold up here based on what you told them, Serena, with the hand up gesture. Bear's turn. So you've verbally told it to attack. Are you shouting anything different? So the trouble is that he's in the fog. He doesn't actually see the creature. He doesn't know where it is. So what I will say is just throw me a D20. I'm going to use this as like a general, how good can this bear gauge? Yeah, the bear's not really sure where the creature is. So if you're asking him to essentially jump on the creature, he's going to kind of move through this area, trying to like bump in, jump, do whatever he can to hit into the creature. And yeah, that's all you know. Because again, you don't get any kind of sensations or anything like that from the spell. I mean, if that's what you had shouted, is look around and then come back to the ledge, sure. All right, Tabard, your turn. Okay, Dean. See who? Okay, Saline. Okay. Serena. Not precisely. You can say you are ready a dash when something happens. Like if you want to say you ready a dash when the last member of the expedition passes you, you could do something like that. Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Once again, this strange sensation on the back of your neck triggers one more time as the fog cloud re-emerges. All right, so that area will suddenly be covered in fog. Going to draw in a quick dynamic lighting line. And just as a quick FYI, those of you that are inside of this, you'll technically be able to see everything on the inside, but by rules, you don't. So even though you can see the interior, it is actually completely obscured for you. I will say, Serena, since you're the only one that can see this, you're going to notice the creature moves into the fog cloud. I'm going to pass its turn, and then I'm going to say, Blixel, it's your turn. Because you shouldn't be able to know where the creature is, I'm going to go ahead and hide the creature. But what I will say is you certainly feel... I will even say you feel tentacles like tap into you from above. The frightened ended at the start of its turn. All right, how much movement was that so far, Blixel? All right, I'll put you there and call it 20. All right, so now you've told them to move ahead, so Thorin's going to do just that. He will march on forward. The expedition will follow along, trying to do as best it can. All right, we'll move up to the bear's turn, who's currently in fog. You asked him to be at the edge of the ledge. You can't really see what's going on over there. Anything specific you're shouting out, Dean? All right, throw me a D20 again. Yeah, the bear is not sure where in the world this thing is, so it is going to scope out. It's not going to see anything up here, so it's then going to climb down to here. It's in the fog, but it is now on ground level. Okay, Tabard. Okay. Towards what sound? All right, you get next to Dean. All right, that's 10 feet so far for you. Okay, Dean. All right, as you're walking away, Dean, I will need a defensive roll at disadvantage as tentacles from the fog cloud reach out to grab you. You are indeed struck, Dean. That'll be 11 piercing damage, and you're grappled and restrained. So as you're trying to exit, you are essentially, let's see, yeah, I'm going to put you here. You're in the fog cloud at this point. You'll need to make a Constitution saving throw as well. Okay, that will fail. Okay, you are poisoned and paralyzed, Ian. So because you're paralyzed, that makes you incapacitated, which automatically drops your concentration. So the polar bear will vanish. I'm going to move him out. I'm going to double check that ruling. I'm 99% sure, but just in case, I'm going to move him out. And that, I believe, will also immediately end your turn. So, yeah, let's go ahead and move to Saline. I'll double check that ruling real quick. Yes. Yep. So essentially you saw him emerge from the fog, and then you saw the tentacles grab onto him and pull him back in. So I just confirmed, yes, incapacitated does indeed drop concentration, so polar bear goes bye-bye. Okay. Yeah, I would let that. Where you're trying to cast that on Dean, you're saying? Yeah, it doesn't say you have to see them, so I'd go with that. All right, that is your bonus action. Okay, Serena. Okay, I think I'm following you. And just to clarify, your intent here, what is your hopeful intent? Is that nobody gets lost in the darkness, I'm assuming? Okay. All right. I mean, I think that's pretty creative. I haven't seen anybody try to do something like that before. So I will say, as an action, yeah, you can pull your rope out and just kind of hand it back, and with minimal effort, they extend it backwards. I believe it's a 50-foot rope, right? Okay. So just keep that in mind as far as the front and how far back they are. Well, because it's a turn-based game, it's not going to be really well modeled. But what I will say is, if you're at the front and you're leading the rope, then they're going to follow behind you and like kind of move up the rope. Is the best I can give you. As far as like if somebody drops off the rope, I don't know that you're really going to know. But this will certainly help quell fears. Maybe like if they're holding on, they still feel like, yeah, we're going the right way. But as far as any other benefit you're trying to get here, I think it's going to be tenuous. Well, I mean, single file, sure, they could go that way, but again, there's nowhere to go, as you can see there. You could, yeah. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Then yes, you could certainly do that. Yes. Okay, so before Blixel's turn, it is the creature's turn. So from within the fog, it is, let's see. Okay, so it is going to attack Dian, or try. So Saline, throw a spell effect roll to see if it can attack Dian. It certainly can. So Dian, you're currently paralyzed, which is bad news bears for attacks, because it is going to, of course, pull you close to it, and then it is going to attack you at advantage. So I need a defense roll at disadvantage, and if this hits, it's an auto crit. Yep, that indeed will hit. So please throw me a piercing crit. Okay, max damage plus regular damage, and then add the result. And a minor injury with disadvantage. Okay, let's see here. All right, that will be 17 points of piercing damage. And then go ahead and throw 2 minor injuries, and we take the less worse one. It may, if like you get healed and then it's like slows your speed or something, it might matter. That's a pretty bad one. Go ahead and throw another one. So the second one I would say is the least worst one. So your max HP will be reduced by half. So you just took 17, so your max HP goes down by 8. All right, that's the creature's turn. Yeah, max HP probably won't be a huge issue here. We move to Blixel's turn. You certainly hear the sound of the creature. You can hear the sound of like its beak, I would say chewing. It's probably the best I can give you. So you're entering the fog, trying to find him? Okay, so you can't see in the fog right now, so point to me which way you're going to go. Southeast one, essentially? Okay, he's not there. Feel free to keep directing where you're going. I just don't want to move you, because then you'll actually see where he's at. So it's east. Okay, he's not there. So I think you spent 15 feet of movement so far, and right now you're here. $20, he's not there. I will say this, it sounds very close to you. I will say use your interact with object, and if you motion around with your hand, you do not feel him in the air. Okay. Okay, that'll work. All right, Thorn is going to follow along the rope with Serena. The expedition does the same. And we move to Tabard. Okay. And you just hear crunching and wiggling tentacles in response. Okay. Okay, so we moved to Dian's turn. Dian, you were paralyzed. So GM death save since you're below 1. Okay, and then also give me a Constitution saving throw to see if you shake off the paralysis in case that becomes important. Okay. All right, so we will pass that turn and we'll move to Saline. Yeah, it looks like the sandbox crashed, restarting it right now. But I will manually pass your turn in the meantime. Serena. All right, give me an idea of where you're going. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm just going to hide where Dian is, and then that way I can actually move you in and you can go where you like. Looks like I think you moved 3, because I believe you were here, so I think you did this, right? So 15 feet so far. All right, you pass by and you feel a sickly, like, tentacle caress you. Shoulder. Kind of on the, like, the back of your neck. If you wish to use your action to swing at the space that you felt tentacles, yeah, you can sure try that. Oh. Well, that'll be pretty challenging because Shipwrecker is two-handed. So if you're holding the rope and then also Shipwrecker, I mean, I would say disadvantage, but you're already getting disadvantage because you can't see. So I'm not sure. So we'll say disadvantage. All right, you swing. Yeah, if you hit tentacles, you don't hit them with like the chopping or the piercing part. You kind of just hit them with the shaft. It doesn't really do anything. I would say again, because it's all dark around you and you kind of like swing it through the air, you definitely hear the sound of like tentacles hitting into Shipwrecker, but it doesn't give you a great idea of where the creature is. Yes. What is it you're hoping to accomplish by doing so? So even if you free up your hands right now, you're still attacking at disadvantage. So essentially, it's not hurting you at all. So it won't really give you any advantage to do so. Okay. Nope. Unfortunately, once again. Yeah, I just hear the sound of it kind of, maybe hitting the tentacles, but not hurting them in any way. Looks like you moved 35 so far. I don't know what your total move is. Okay. And you're trying to go essentially northwest. All right, you pass beyond the fog. All right, before Blixel's turn. Okay, Ian, defensive roll at disadvantage. No, it could apply. Yeah, go ahead and throw your spell effect roll. So 17, that's wisdom, right? Okay, it will not attack Ian this round. Blixel. All right, so I'm going, let's see, everything's hidden. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and put you on in. You move 5 feet. I would say you're feeling a rope. About mid-level, like you're about your waist. All right, so if you follow the rope, that'd be 10. That would take you to 15, 20, 25, 30. No. Five, 10, 15, 20, 25. You bump into Serena, and that's where you end your turn. All right, to try to speed this up a little bit, because I haven't seen anything that you guys are throwing out that I think is going to make any difference. Feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong. But I will say the expedition is going to follow the rope. They're going to kind of get here-ish. And then it would be the top of the round. I mean, Tabby, is there anything crazy or special you're trying to do? All right. And from where you're at right now, I will just tell you there's no possible way you can strike the creature. So you throw it in the air, whichever direction, it does not connect. All right, and then so then we would move to Dian's turn. Dian, death save to GM. All right, and then Celine, your turn. Again, okay, so I'm just going to kind of skip past you. Serena, you're leading the expedition past. I'm assuming you're just continuing on the way. Okay, fair enough. So you get to there, you're kind of waiting. So then if you're waiting there, we would move another spell effect roll, Celine. Okay, and then it would be, again, Blixel. You're going to probably exit the fog, I'm assuming. No response. All right, feel free to continue moving. I'm going to just kind of expedite this a little bit. The expedition then would make it out and continue moving. And then that would take us back to Tabard. I think this is just a matter of time, if I'm being honest, guys. So they would get out. Tabard, anything special you're doing? Okay. And then Dian, another death save. All right. And then Celine, you're just waiting for the expedition to come back around. All right. For some reason, every time it gets to your turn, it crashes. I don't know what the deal is. It's got to be, right? That's, yeah. Okay. And then Serena, as the expedition passes you, is there anything you're doing? None of them saw anything in the fog. They don't seem, yeah, they don't seem to have any great info to pass along. They're terrified and they're just trying to get out of here as quick as possible. Okay. All right. So I'll pass your turn then with that expectation. Celine, spell effect roll. Okay, so that time attack would be possible. DN defensive roll. This, of course, is at disadvantage. Oh, yeah, yeah. Let me go ahead and reveal you, because you get to see yourself. You should be able to see it in the middle there. Okay, so maybe you guys still hear some crunching, perhaps. All right, then we would have Blixel's turn. Blixel, are you just continuing on? No. All right, so then we get to the expedition. Now that they're in the free and clear, they can move pretty far to kind of put some distance here. So I'm going to remove Thorn and Dwali from the initiative with the assumption that they are moving quite a bit out of this area of engagement. Tabard, anything special? That is just a rock wall. Okay. And then DN death save. Okay. And then Celine. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna, yeah, no immediate effect on this scenario. Then you're kind of guiding them just to try to move this along quickly. Okay. Okay, Serena. Yeah, yes. You mean like an attack? You're trying to stand there and just swing all around? Okay, so you spend your action swinging all up in the air, maybe doing little hops and stuff like that. You don't connect with anything. All right, so I'm going to skip you. Let's move to the creature's turn. Saline, another spell effect roll. All right, so that would be another attack, defensive roll at disadvantage, Ian. That would be a crit, even if it wasn't already a crit. Okay, so yeah, again, just trying to move this along quickly. Blixel, I assume you're kind of skedaddling. Okay, so really it comes down to Tavern or Serena. Are you guys trying to skedaddle, or are you going back in? Are you doing? Give me an idea what you're doing. Okay, so with that in mind, Serena, are you leaving? You said if you saw a tavern leave, you're leaving? Okay, so what I'm going to say as you leave, it is relatively quiet. Like you might hear the sound of like crunching and that kind of thing. But as you guys leave this immediate vicinity, you find yourselves back in the tunnels as you're trying to move on and put what just happened behind you, I presume, as you are trying to follow the path that you know leads back to this room with the glow fungus, and knowing that your good ally and fellow counselor Dian is back there somewhere in the darkness. All right, well, we're about halfway through our session. I think this is a good time to go ahead and pause, take our 15-minute break, folks. See everybody on the backside. Alrighty, folks, we are back on the second half of our session. Team, you're currently in the tunnels. You are just getting away from this very terrible encounter where poor Dian was grasped in the fog and was not recovered. As you continue making your way down the tunnels and hoping that nothing comes from behind you, is it safe to assume you guys are making a beeline for the exit?
Yeah.
We need to get out of here.
B, D, X, anything that's working for us, I'm doing.
A D line
D
in honor
line
of Dean.
Yep.
All right, so you guys make your way back following the chalk arrows and things that were left as markings here by Dwali. You notice that everybody in the team is looking quite haggard. The expedition is very much nervously looking back towards the way you all have come, but they also have a bit of pep in their step and are trying to get out of here as quick as they can. So you pass by this area where you know there's a branch in the tunnel. It creates sort of like a Y intersection. One way goes towards the path to the Orogs and to that lower level where the structure was, and you can see the lava. The other way going south, according to your marker, should lead towards the exit. You guys travel that for 5 to 10 minutes or so. You end up back into the medium-sized chamber where you see that there is quite a bit of this glowing fungus. It's not really bright, but it's giving off sort of a bioluminescent. bioluminescence. You pass through this area carefully, not noticing anything out of the ordinary or anything that is worrisome. And you continue the short distance, maybe another 5 minutes or so, before you find yourself turning a little bit of at an angle and spotting this break in the ground that leads out to daylight. As the expedition and our player characters begin to emerge emerge from the tunnel, you guys find yourselves back out in this area nearby the Stone Crown Mountains, and you are outside. All right, so as a quick time check here, let's see, you guys came in the morning, did quite a bit of adventuring, fought, did multiple rests. So yeah, I'm going to say it's pretty late at this point. You imagine it's somewhere 7, 8 p.m., sometime in that range, as you find yourselves seeing the fading light in the sky. There is enough light that you can actually see it. However, it is very much heading towards night. So you've emerged from this very hidden entrance to the underground of the Stone Crown Mountains. What would you guys like to do?
First, well, Blixen wants to make sure we can find this place again. So, I don't know. Is there any way for us to make a mark? Does anyone know that we can find?
Well, I'm sure that he can make a map to some extent. Dwally.
Otherwise, if I have any hunting tricks on designating an area in the wilderness, I could do so.
I mean, primarily for like marking things, you guys have chalk. You could certainly mark this area, but that would likely make it available to anybody that travels this way. So I think the question is, are you trying to know where this is, but not let others know where this is? Or do you not care? Okay, so then you're not going to want to leave like an actual marking here, right? Because then anybody else could follow it. But as far as making a map, yeah, Dwally can try to make a map. Remember, it was very challenging to find this entrance. So if you're willing to spend, and again, it's getting late right now. This would be better to do during the daytime. So are you guys willing to stay out overnight here, kind of close by, so then in the morning you could get the lay of the land, notice some landmarks, and kind of make, a good documentation of where this entrance is?
Is there like a big enough, like a bigger tree around?
Not right against the mountains, but if you walk, maybe a quarter of a mile away, then there would be some trees.
Okay. Because we could mark somewhere that's not exactly at the spot, but no, this is 150 yards away from the spot.
You could do that, yeah, and I assume the mark wouldn't say like 150 yards that way, right? It would just be
No,
right. Yeah, you could certainly
like
do
a
that.
star shape or something like that.
Sure, yeah, if that's what you'd like to do. Again, I will just try to share with you guys that mechanically, without like an actual marker on this entrance, it will still be hard to find, but because you've been here before, it won't be as hard as it was for Dian to spot it. So if you guys decided to come back this way, it would, you'd still have to make a check to find it. It might end up taking you a long time to find it. Those are all possibilities. What is the team thinking?
I guess my vote is to make some kind of mark far, far off, not on the actual thing. Hopefully we can just remember, make a map enough to get back here.
I think we need to rest regardless, and because it's a long hike back, and we've got some bruises to rub some dirt on.
Let's find a place to camp. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get back to our original campsite that we spent last night. And God, it feels like 6 weeks ago. But we're not going to achieve much tonight. So if we can revisit this in the morning and discuss it.
Yeah, let's just find a defensible place to lay up camp. Like around that copse of trees off there in the distance or something.
Okay.
All right, so you guys make your way away from the entrance here in the Stone Crown Mountains over about the quarter of a mile or so to where there are trees. The expedition is following along, again, a bit slower, you might say. Once you make it to this tree line, again, it's not like a thick forest or anything like that, but there's a decent amount of trees kind of sparsely populated in this area. You assume that this will be reasonably defensible. I would say mostly you're also tired and exhausted that everything's looking good at the moment.
Let's try to sleep here, okay, everybody?
Sounds good.
You hear some yawns from the expedition as they slowly begin to unravel their packs and begin to produce those tents, unraveling them, trying to get them set up. You notice them, sharing looks with one another. Occasionally, under their breath, you can hear them speaking in Caramel to one another, the Dwarvish language. They do this kind of, privately, but you can hear it every now and again. Any of you that might speak Caramel, you probably mostly hear like, sort of like, I can't believe we made it out of there. You might also hear some, it's really unfortunate about the guy that we lost. That was really sad. And, I wonder if we'll be able to get back to town safely. You hear some of them wondering whether trying to mine the gold down there is even worth it at all based on the danger. So you can definitely tell that their sense of morale is not particularly high at the moment. But yeah, you do indeed manage to get these tents and things set up. It is this waning light fades. Are you guys planning to do like a campfire and like watches and things?
What did we do before that seemed to fend everything off, right? With our big group. We had a fire, right?
Yeah, you guys had a fire before, and you do have a large group, so generally things like animals and stuff you don't think you're going to have to worry about. Obviously, if there's something that's not worried about a dozen or so people here, then that might be a concern.
I'll take the first watch.
Okay, Serena's on first watch, and yeah, I will say, Serena, go ahead and throw me a blind check. Most of the expedition, it seems like once they go in their tents, you just almost immediately start to hear the sounds of snoring. They are just absolutely exhausted. And did you have your token selected there, Serena?
Possibly not.
You should have a token off on the right side on this map. Okay, yeah, it is a quiet night for you, Serena. You don't find much of an issue here. About 2 hours or so pass. You hear the sounds of animals, that kind of thing. Birds occasionally, maybe a brush off in the distance, maybe a deer, that kind of thing. But yeah, nothing that gives you any kind of concern.
I'll take second watch.
All right, I'll wake up Tavern.
Okay, Tavern, you are awoken. You can hear the sound of the team still sawing logs. For the most part, everyone's really trying to get that rest and relaxation in. Yes, your watch also goes by uneventfully so, Tavern. No, nothing goes bump in the night. It's all calm. Just hear the sounds that you would expect out here.
All right, I'll wake up Mr. Blixel. I'm sure he would have voluntold. Tiered.
Okay. Okay.
Elves don't have to sleep, you know, so really he should take the whole night.
I thought he was a half elf.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. I gotta sleep just like the rest of you.
Likely story.
Yeah. All right. I got this one, guys. I'll do this one for Dean.
All right, Blixel blind check as you spend a couple of hours here on watch. You don't see much of anything here, Blixel. In fact, you're still half sleeping. So you notice yourself constantly kind of dozing off, and then you catch yourself and raise your head and you look around, but doesn't seem to be anything dangerous on here. Probably wouldn't hurt if you just went back to... You managed to get through your watch, but you're pretty sure you dozed off for more than half of it.
Huh.
All right, I'm the last one.
Yeah.
All right, Saline, you are then awoken, and yeah, go ahead and make a blind check.
It's going to be the best roll of the night for me. Here we go.
All right, it is early in the morning at this point in time. The sun is just rising over, let's see, sun rises in the west and sets in the east, right? So it rises
Other way
along,
around.
rises, yeah, of course, yeah, not in this world, no. It rises in the east and sets in the west. So yes, the sun starts to peak a bit over the Stone Crown Mountains based on where you guys are at the moment. You can see like the sun kind of touching the top of the caps of the mountains. And as you're watching this as part of your 2-hour watch or so here, you realize that you probably spent more than 2 hours. A lot of the team is just really exhausted. But as the sun is coming up and finally passes the mountains, you hear the sound first of what sounds like a horse moving. And then as you turn and glance to your west, you can see quite off in the distance, moving through the plains area here, closer to the mountains, there is an armored rider on a horse moving along at a fairly, I would say, a canter speed, not very fast.
Which way are they going?
They're moving from west to east.
Towards us, then.
I mean, not directly towards you, but they will pass south of you if they continue on their current vector.
Well, if these lazy fucks are oversleeping, I'm going to wake them up anyway. It's been more than 8 hours, so they should be fine.
Okay, so in the copse of trees there, you start waking the rest of the folks up. Many of them, especially the expedition members, as they kind of blink their eyes open, you see they just kind of look at you and look like they're
I'm
having
sorry. I meant only the team, not the expedition.
just the team. Okay, so yeah, you wake up the team. I'm assuming team you wake up. Is there any resistance you're giving, or are you guys just all getting up?
What the heck?
Looks like starts awake. He's been having some nightmares about Dean's family.
Yeah, we'll
Well,
cross
it's
that
the-
bridge when we get to it, but look over there. There's a rider. Are they too far away to see like their colors or anything?
I mean, you could certainly try by like focusing on them and seeing if anything sticks out. Go ahead and give me a blind check there, Saline.
I use my eagle elven eyes to.
You notice they are wearing steel armor that has quite a bit of decoration upon it. You notice a red cape is sort of fluttering behind this individual. They are wearing a helmet as well, so you get the impression of sort of a heavily armored rider. You don't notice any particular insignias or anything like that, but this person is still like approaching you, so you're really just seeing, or I should say they're going your way in a sense. You're only kind of seeing the front of them.
I don't know who that is.
Should I call him over?
Maybe not a good idea. Let's just see where he's going.
There could be some interesting news.
He's like completely by himself.
Seems to be, yeah.
Does he look like him or his horse look like they've been injured at all or anything?
Blind check there, Tabard, as you try to make that out. Not that you can see. You get the impression of, again, you're at distance, so it's hard to see much, but your impression is sort of like a pristine appearance, very clean.
I'm gonna call him, okay?
You must.
I'm gonna like step out in front of the group and be like, ahoy! And kind of like wave and see if I catch their eye.
Okay,
She's
yes.
She's got shipwrecker, so that's where she gets the oi from, you know. Like
As
a
you
pirate.
emerge from the copse of trees here and you make yourself plainly visible and you kind of call out, you notice the rider does slow down even more at this point. They kind of come to a standing stop. They are about 100 feet or more away from you at the moment, kind of glancing and looking in your direction. You notice like the visor of the full plate armor is lifted, and you just see the heads kind of looking your way. You notice the rider kind of hesitates for a moment, and then you hear "yeah," and moves again slowly, now approaching you, Cerilia.
I say, howdy, stranger! As loud as I can.
All right, you call this out. You notice that the rider kind of inclines their head towards you as they are approaching. Once the rider gets to be about 30 feet away from you, you notice the rider pulls up to a complete stop once again, and you see the rider moves a hand towards the head and pulls the helmet off fully, where you notice a woman is actually on the horse, and you see she is looking towards you with a bit of a smile on her face.
Do I recognize her or the insignia or anything like that?
As her cloak flutters in the little bit of light wind that is here, you do catch a symbol on the cloak. As it flutters around, you see a sword on a starburst on a field of red. And of course, being a follower of Halen, you recognize that immediately, Serena.
I'm going to say some sort of like greeting that's appropriate for followers of Halen.
Okay.
Something that sticks out.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yep, something that is appropriate. That is kind of like a common language of the temple. You will notice that she gives you a smile and she says, "Oh, a follower of Halen. It is so good to see in this frontier. My lady, may I ask what it is that you are doing here? You look well-traveled."
That's very polite way of saying we've been through the ringer, but you know, we're just adventuring through the mountains, doing some exploring and map making. How about yourself? Any news from whence you came?
Oh, well, there is always plenty of news, but I don't know what it is that you're looking to hear about. I've come from the south, and before you were adventuring in the mountains, you came from?
From the capital.
The capital of Cariele, I take it. Carolinian?
Yes.
I see. Oh, well, it is good to make your acquaintance. I am Dame Cassandra Steele.
What am I, commander? Captain? I forget. I should put it on my sheet. Or General. General Serena Dongard. Pleasure to meet you.
You notice she kind of looks a bit taken aback. General, you say? General of the forces of Cariele?
That's correct.
Oh, well, how odd it is that I should find you out here. I suppose you're the individual I'm looking to speak to, then. The forces in Melivienne. Not quite what I would consider to be exactly model soldiers. Do you know of whom I speak?
Do I? Is she referring...
By the mercenaries that we hired, I think. That's where we left them,
Is
right?
that where they are?
Yes, that does seem to line up with what she's saying.
I assume you're referring to some hired hands. I don't know if they're exactly representative of our standards. What have you heard?
Some unfortunate events have occurred here in Melivienne involving those mercenary soldiers. The way they treat the locals is not up to the standard that I would expect. In fact, we normally don't get calls to come this far north, but it seems as though some of the individuals living in Melivienne, the citizens there, they passed word down to the south about some mercenaries and how they were acting. And, well, I've been dispatched here to just get a lay of the land.
Gosh darn it. We're going to have to do something about that. I'll speak to our count.
I see. Well, that would be most appreciated. It seems as though these mercenaries have been drinking in excess and causing quite a bit of ruckus here. Some of the citizens have even indicated thievery. They've stolen from them. I hate to bring some of the other more foul accusations to speak to those here in the air, but needless to say, these mercenaries have caused a bit of trouble. Soldiers, oftentimes, unfortunately, undisciplined soldiers, this occurs, but mercenaries are always the worst.
This is terrible news. Thank you for sharing it. I'm going to have to put a stop to this right away.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you are taking this so seriously. Well, I suppose I'm a bit at a loss. I was still having to travel to the east a bit to just patrol this area, but being that I've found you, I must count this as a blessing from Halen and see that you will set these wrongs to right. I suppose that means I shall be heading back, unless, you see, she kind of like looks past you a little bit. Can't really make out everybody in the copse of trees there. I don't suppose you need an escort back to the capital.
Well, the more the merrier. We're a little ran through the ringer, so any extra protection is always great if you're headed that direction.
Yes, I was going to head to Cerilia, in fact, to speak to you and to the Count if I could get an audience, but, well, it seems as though, as I said, Halen has blessed me. So I shall take this great gift that he has given and turn it into a gift to you. I shall accompany your group here back towards the capital.
Thank you. We'd be very grateful. Come on back and I'll introduce you to the others.
That sounds lovely. You see she dismounts from her horse. You notice she just kind of pats it, and it just kind of stays there very, not unnaturally still, but seems a little bit odd for a horse not to like nicker or just move more. It kind of is pretty stoic. You see as she dismounts from the steed, she's holding onto her helmet in one hand. You notice this large blade, probably a great sword, on her back. You can see, again, the cape fluttering behind her as she steps up closer towards you and now formally sort of extends her hand in a greeting.
I'll shake it and bring her back to the group and introduce her as Cassandra Steele.
She smiles at all of you as she is brought back towards the group, looking towards the expedition. You see she kind of winces a bit as she's looking at some of you, noticing your wounds, some of the injuries. You see, in fact, she goes over towards Dwally, noticing that he looks pretty bad. She also is looking over towards Blixel as he looks pretty bad. And she says, "Oh, my, you look like you have indeed been through the ringer, as the general has said. I hate to pry, but might I ask what troubles you've run into?"
Well, some Orogs up to no good.
Orogs here in Cariele?
The mountains, yeah.
It might have come from the mountains, possibly.
You see she looks and turns back towards the mountains. You see the sun kind of casting on her hair as it flutters backwards, and you see she shakes her head with very much determination, looking back. This is very unfortunate. They rarely emerge from the mountains. If they've emerged from the mountains, that means that They're plotting something. How many? Was there great numbers or just a small pack?
No, we were up there in the mountains. We've just returned.
Hard, hard to tell.
You ascended the mountains?
Well, we were poking around. Probably where we shouldn't have, which is how we end up in this position, but that's how it goes.
She nods slowly. I see. Well, I shall not pry any further. I can see you've been through quite some troubles. Allow me to provide just a little bit of a blessing from Halen, if you will. You see she approaches Dwali and she says, will you take his blessing? And you notice Dwali kind of looks at her and says, I don't know what you're talking about, lass, but if it'll help the seam of these wounds, I'm willing to try something. And you see she kind of smiles at him as she just reaches out, touching upon him, and you notice his eyes kind of open really wide. Oh, that feels much better.
Oh, me next. Me next.
You see she turns, looking towards you, Blixel, with a smile, and she says, I'm sorry, and I imagine you hear this quite often, but I don't recognize you. Are you a follower of Halen, a servant of the light?
You know, I follow another goddess, but a holy man of sorts.
I'm working on him.
You see she kind of narrows her eyes a bit. Another goddess. Which god do you follow, if I may ask?
Avani, I think you call her Avanale.
You notice she nods with a smile. Ah, yes, of course. Well, a follower of Avani is most welcome here. While not exactly the same teachings as Halen, following Avani is quite, well, it is the good path, I suppose you could say. I would be most happy to aid you. You see she does indeed reach forward, touching upon you, and she will restore 10 HP to you.
Oh.
And you see she looks upon you as this is complete, and she says, my, yes, you indeed have had quite a rough time. Well, I suppose getting back to the capital would be most prudent to allow you all to fully recover.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking as well.
Well, if there is no other tasks that you must undertake, then allow us to go.
I lead the way after you. We don't all have horses, so we're going to be traveling a little bit slower. But
Well, how are the dwarves doing? Do we maybe want to wait here an hour to help them catch their breath some more? They took some pain from those orogs.
They would be happy for that, yes.
Would it
Okay.
trouble you if we delayed an hour to help them recuperate?
She shakes her head. No, not a problem at all. One can enjoy such a great morning.
I'll fiddle around with that loot, too.
If there are no objections, I think we would like to attempt to start a short rest that we get back at the beginning of the day.
All right, yeah, that will certainly work. So this hour will pass by without event. Other than short resting, is there anything in particular anybody's doing?
But tuning to Das loot.
All right, you are able to do so.
I don't think I'm... Well, maybe I will.
Can I also play Song of Rest while attuning to it?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I'll play that as well.
All right, while you guys are restoring whatever it is that you're choosing to spend for your short rest, make sure you set yourself back to 1 of 2, presuming that you've spent one of your short rests. Anything in particular that you guys want to do here other than just make your way back to Carilia? Okay, hearing nothing then, I will assume you guys pack everything up and start making the approximately 1 day journey back towards the capital. You guys spend the first couple of hours here moving overland, and you're following kind of the rough path that you took to get here. You're seeing a lot of the same, approximately same scenery that you saw on the way here. It's very pretty much an uneventful journey. After traveling for about 7 to 8 hours, your expedition is getting pretty tired at this point. There is still a couple of hours of day left, but everyone's getting pretty tired. No one really feels like pushing it, at least the expedition doesn't. Dame Cassandra seems to be a stalwart figure at your side. She seems to have a very positive attitude and will comment on anything that she sees that looks nice, like, oh, look at that tree. Look how it is standing, solid and resolute. And she just has this very positive attitude about her. And she seems to be happy to be in your company. If nobody is directly interacting with her, she just makes these kind of off comments every now and again. Other than that, she just kind of rides slowly alongside you. You guys stop every now and again for little breaks. You can see that when you do so, she gives food and water to her horse. She's got saddlebags with feed bag on the side. She's takes it down to a stream that you find. Pretty standard stuff for traveling. Without anything else really occurring, I'm going to assume you guys spend the rest of that day. You post some watches, you wake up the next day, and continue on your way to Carolinian, where you arrive without any further incident.
Thank you so much, Cassandra Steele, for your assistance.
She smiles at you once again as you find yourself back in the capital, and she kind of just briefly thanks you for allowing her to accompany you on the journey. She wishes you well and asks you to continue walking in Halen's light, and she says she hopes that Halen's blessing touches each of you, and may you find him even in the darkness. And with that, she will take her leave as she makes her way through the capital.
Would you like an audience with the Count?
If you ask her this question, she will say she trusts your word as a follower of Halen that you will look into this issue with the mercenaries. And no, she doesn't actually need an audience because she knows that you will handle it.
It's true, I'm on the job.
Alrighty, folks. So as you make it back to the capital, is there anything immediately that you wish to attend to? As I will do a quick summary to let you know where we're at as far as the calendar goes. You guys, we would be on the 27th of Faniel at this point. As far as weather goes, it's warmer than normal, so you're a little bit left of the journey in the morning. Would be pleasant. There's nothing, the weather's very calm, a little bit of light wind, no real issue. Your last session of council was the previous week, so you're going to have 3 weeks approximately before the next session of council. We'll obviously have an opportunity for you guys to do your downtime event. And yes, good point, Blixel. So we decided based on the timing that once you guys get back to the castle and kind of settle in, the letter from Moriad would then officially arrive. You guys can decide how you wish to react to that. He did indeed, yes. Arthur perished back on the 22nd, so you guys would be informed of that once you arrive back. So essentially you would know, he died some, 5 days ago or so. Once you get back to the capital and the castle, catch up with Vin, kind of get filled in on the little bit of kind of issues that occurred here while you guys were away.
And of course, go ahead, Serena.
Notify Deanne's family and have a funeral.
Okay, all right. So yeah, and that's something that can sort of happen in the downtime unless there's something special that you're wanting to do or you're wanting this to be like an RP scene. But otherwise, we can assume that you have filled Dean's wife in on his falling in the tunnels. Yeah, so we will assume you guys have done that. Okay, so to try to get us into a good spot for next session, reminder that you guys get your downtime. So we have our rules for downtime that you guys will be able to engage in for this month. See exactly where we've got those. Yeah, they're under our house rules. So if you forgot, I know it's been several weeks since you've done this once before, but everything's under the house rules folder. Downtime. You have your downtime actions that you can choose to engage in, and then you'll also have your random event that occurs sometime in the week. So let's see. How about I just pick on Tavern to go first since he's left on my screen. Tavern, roll me a D100, please.
Yes! It's what I wanted to roll.
Okay, this is an interesting one. All right, roll me a D6, Tavern. Okay, so once you get back into the capital, and remember, this downtime event is supposed to represent things that occurred in the weeks between council sessions. So it doesn't mean that it happened the day you got back, for example, but it happened sometime between last council session and the next one. So essentially what it is that there is a high-profile criminal case that has caught the public's attention. This is a case of grand theft. There's been something very important that has been stolen, and it seems to be the talk of the town. Is this something that you imagine Tavern would get involved in?
Well, I think it would depend on what the item was and or who got stolen, because of my role as the I can't remember what my title is and everything, but I think if not, I would wind up turning it over to Serena, but it depends on what it was.
Okay, so what I will say is this doesn't seem like something that you guys have to try to solve, because this grand theft has already been discovered. The person that has committed this crime has been arrested. They're in prison, essentially awaiting trial. But if you wish to get involved, there's like some things that you can do here, but you don't have to. It's completely optional.
Yeah, then in that case there, I think that would fall more under Serena's purview for her role. So
All right. Fair enough. So you will not participate essentially in this downtime event. You will let her know because this is your rolled event. There's no real involvement Serena at that point. Again, FYI, she can be aware of it, but we will assume that the process is moving along as normal. Okay, moving next to Saline. 1D100, please. Okay, all right. This is much of an RP focused one, Saline. So, what this is you see something that makes you question one of your ideals. So, hopefully, you've got your ideals filled out on your character sheet.
Oh, let's find out together, shall we?
I'm pulling that up right now. Yes, you do. Okay. All right, so essentially what this downtime event is, you are questioning your ideal that you have listed there. You start to wonder if people are better or worse than you think. Does the world need more order imposed on it or less? How much does your ideal matter in the long run? Maybe this has something to do with Ian's passing, that you're questioning this is possible, but you get to decide exactly, how it is or why. You also start to wonder, have you actually accomplished anything to further your ideal? And is having this ideal still worth it? You're wondering, are you even the same person you were when you first decided such an ideal should be important to you? So essentially, this is your opportunity as a player to evaluate that and say, is this something that Saline doubles down on? Is she questioning this and perhaps going a different route than she is now? Does anything immediately strike you? And if not, it's of course something you can think on.
That is a hella philosophical question that
It
I will
sure
have to think
is.
on.
So I will.
Let me just hammer that out in a minute here for you.
I will send you the text of this exactly as it is, so you can decide if this impacts you, if anything, occurs to you.
You got it.
All right, we will then move to Serena. D100, please. Okay, somewhat similar. Okay, so this is based on your personality traits, Serena. So I'm looking at your true personality traits here. Okay. All right, so again, this is one that you've got a lot of ability to decide what this means and how exactly this impacts you. But what this says is one of your personality traits comes in conflict with someone you need to interact with. So this could be almost anybody. It could be someone in the bureaucracy that you're dealing with. It could be an assistant, a barkeep, a librarian, a merchant, pretty much anybody you can think of that you would interact with during this downtime. Essentially, think about one of those two traits that you listed and how they might negatively impact you, or they might, cause you some issues in how you deal with people. And you get to decide what impact, if any, that has, as far as, is this somebody that you've angered? Is this somebody that maybe your personality trait links up really well with them? So essentially, feel free to take this and go wild with it if you wish. If you think, oh, that's not really that big of a deal, you don't have to do much with it. It's your choice. And I will send the text of that one to you as well, Serena. And then last but not least, Blixel D100. Okay. Okay. All right. So this one is maybe more up Blixel's alley. So one of these days during the downtime that you are walking about in the streets of Carolinian, you catch the sight of some masterfully crafted item. This could be a weapon, it could be an instrument, it could be almost anything. It is comparable to something you have, but much, much better. So think of something you have that's kind of basic, and what you're spotting here is just way better than what you have. It is embellished with etchings and carvings to bring good luck and great glory, but it is quite expensive. So this might be something that Blixel looks at and thinks, hey, I'd really like to have that. It might be something that he's just envious of, or it might be something he sees and says, not worth the money. Again, this is a role-playing event primarily, something you can decide if this means anything to you, if it's something that's a goal for Blixel now moving forward.
Okay. I think he sees it like a really well-crafted hand drum, like that's similar to his old hand drum, but obviously much higher quality. But his hand drum was given to him by his mother, so it has sentimental value that one can't really hold for him.
Okay, excellent. I like that answer. That's quite detailed and certainly lines up. Go ahead and take inspiration, Blixel. Okay, so that is your character-focused downtime events out of the way, or I should say random events out of the way. You guys have your downtime events to go through as well. So as a reminder, those in our house rules section, and we can kind of do these in order. Do you guys have an idea of what you're wanting to do for your downtime? I'll go in the reverse order this time. Blixel.
Well, I guess it depends. Was I able to get enough XP to level up with everybody else?
Yes. Yep, because you did your write-up. So, yeah, you're definitely going to be 7 once you get a long rest.
Okay. I'm going to try to gain money again.
Okay, so the macro should be fully working now. So feel free to use the macro and pick what you like. Type in what you're doing to gain money, and we will see what the result is.
Sorry, I forget how to do the macro. Let me see. It's just
So-
in the macro bar.
Yeah, if you don't have it in the bar yet, then it will be over in the right in the collections area, which is like those three icons together. And it is simply called downtime action. So you can either add it to bar or click the little die there, and then it should be like a prompt that walks you through the steps. All right, and while you're navigating that, Serena, do you have an idea of what you want to do for your downtime?
Ooh. Well, I'm sort of stuck on the fact that I would really want to be resolving the mercenary issue. Would this happen after that?
So this represents about a full month of time in between council sessions. So your downtime action, don't think of that as competing with other things that you want to do. It's just like something we do that represents your efforts for that month. So yes, you could do this and then also look into the mercenary issue. If by looking in, you're basically saying, I want to send some people there, scope it out, or I want to travel there, it'll only take you a day to get there and like talk to the mercenaries. So you would certainly have time to do that as well.
Okay, cool. I will do gain a magic item.
All right. Okay. So yeah, feel free to read the text on that one to see what the odds are of that working. And then once you're ready, use the macro to see if you're successful. All right, and while you're navigating that, we will move to Saline. Saline, have you decided what you would like to do for your downtime?
I know what I want to do. I just don't know how much of a coward I am right now. So, Celine has noticed in these various expeditions that Old Andu comes up a lot, and it's not a language she knows, so she wants to try to learn the Old Andu language, and I'm trying to decide on the DC. How scared am I of a major complication happening?
All right, good thing to think about.
Yeah. You know what? This seems relatively low stakes in the grand scheme of things, so I will try the DC 10 to learn the language in one go.
All right, feel free to use the macro when you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then Tavern, how about you for your downtime? Oh, I see Blixel's posted there. He was successful. All right, excellent. Celine also successful. So make sure to update your sheets with what you guys have gained through your downtime there. And Tavern, have you decided what you would like to do for your downtime?
Yeah, as the spy master, I'm going to go talk to my buddy Franco because, where he works, I'm sure he's got some contacts that could become my contacts, right? So I'm going to try to start building my network out.
All right, sounds like you're trying to gain contacts downtime action. So feel free to use the macro when you're ready. All right, hey, look at that, 3 for 3. So Serena was looking for anything interesting there, DC of 10. All right, let's see what that gets her. One random uncommon magic item. Okay, that was... Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. So uncommon magic items. Let's see, Serena, please throw me a 1D... A 1D10... That can't be right. Hang on a sec. Yeah, that is
Nice.
right. 1D109.
Nice, guys. All we need to do is cut that dead weight. Dean.
Jesus.
Then all the good rolls start happening.
No. Right, I'm sure your next character is going to be amazing.
Okay, with a roll of 100 on a 1D109, you have... Okay, I love it. You poked through the evidence. That is awesome. Okay, you have found a robe of useful items. Let me get that over.
Oh, cool. Probably taken from a thief who needed the ladder.
All right, so Serena, this is what you have discovered in the evidence locker, and you can add robe of useful items to your sheet. There's quite a bunch of different little things that can connect to this, so feel free to read over that, and if you have questions, let me know.
Thank you.
All right, that's 3 for 3. No pressure, whoever's rolling next. I think that'd be you, Tadward.
Yeah, I
Let's
know.
go.
I'm trying to figure out how do I want to go big on the DC 15. You know what? I am trying to build contacts, so some of the contacts may hate me and want to assassinate me, but you know what? I'm going for it. DC 15 because, well, you guys know I always roll high.
Of course. He did.
Hey!
Wow, look at that. 4 for 4. Okay. So would you like 2 rare or 1 very rare contact?
You know, we're going to go ahead with the very rare, and I'll let you figure that out over the week or whatever. But, you know.
All right, excellent. So you see some examples there. That would be major local noble or a minor foreign noble. So yeah, I mean, you certainly have the option to let me know like where you're wanting to go. If you don't have a preference, then I will certainly spin it up for you.
Whatever works good for the campaign, Adam. I mean, you know my character, what I'm
I
looking
will.
for. Plus
I
I'm
will
the
play
spy
with it.
master.
That gives me a
Yeah.
whole lot to play with. So,
That's right.
All right,
That's
sounds great. Okay, all right, excellent. So that is you guys' downtime. We've got 4 of 4 downtimes complete. Everybody roll a success. Everybody picked a decently high DC, so or the highest DC. So great, good job, everybody. Okay, so guys, that represents your time here in the downtime between the weeks. Checking our calendar really quick. There is definitely some other minor events that are going to occur in the coming days. I want to try to remind you guys maybe of some, things hanging out there. So is there anything specific that you guys are wanting to keep your eyes open for or keeping tabs on that you're wanting to address?
Yes.
Flying diapers and formula, Blixel?
The
Oh,
bounty hunter, right?
Yes.
and also the serial killer, right? Something.
Serial killer was
Yeah.
resolved.
I wanna hire the bounty hunter to find the person that stole that armor, that killed Arthur, supposedly or theoretically,
Yeah.
But
Okay.
find and bring that person to justice because we promised Moriad that we're gonna do that thing.
We
so.
did. Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up is the breastplate thing.
Also, I would like to dispatch a small group of guards to try to go to that village we sent our families from, or at least send a message asking Moriad about that so that we can get that investigated because they just disappeared. They never showed up.
Yeah, I think the more indicated in his letter that his guys were still continuing to investigate, but we can certainly do one on our end as well.
Okay, so hiring Catherine to take upon this task. She will certainly be willing to take upon this task. Are you going to provide her all of the information that you have, like including that Arthur and his team went, Arthur was killed, and so forth?
Yeah, I don't see why not. For sure, more information the better for her.
And Blixel, is it safe to say, because during the council session you asked her to speak with you personally after, that you're leading this discussion?
Yeah. I'll try to persuade her to do it because it could lead to like many more jobs with our government, so that it might not be the most lucrative one right now, but if she proves herself with this job, she can get a lot more.
All right, yeah. Throw me a blind check to represent those efforts. I'm also just popping up on screen here our notes from the previous session of council. This might jog your memory about some outstanding things there. Okay. Yes, she is more than happy to take upon this mission, and based on the way you spin this Blixel, that this will be a lot more work coming her way. She offers to do this first one for free.
Holy shit, good job,
Hey,
Noah.
hey.
Good rolls, people.
That was a natural 20 for a 30 persuasion.
Yeah, he's got good persuasion. All right. Well, I look real forward to working with you in the future too, just on a personal level. All right. Not to make it weird. I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah, she seems to be quite taken with how you've turned a phrase, and yeah, she will set off on this right away.
Blixel whistles on his way back into the castle.
All right, excellent. So just again, if anybody else has a business that they're wanting, oh right, the other thing you mentioned was send a group to find the PC's families. Okay, so give me an idea. So basically, this is going to come down to resources, right? How much money are you willing to put into this to send the group there? The lowest I think we agreed now we're doing is 1/10 of a gold bar. So minimum would be 200 and increments of 200 gold. Give me an idea how much you're wanting to spend on this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody else's family is involved anymore. Like, who else is involved there? I
My
guess
brother
your brother.
and possibly mother if she hasn't died yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, you want to throw in 100 gold, and I throw in 100 gold, and we just send. What would that get us? Like a few guardsmen or something like that could go down there.
So if are you spending 200 gold personal money, or you're taking this money out of the treasury first and foremost? I guess that's the main question.
I mean, I guess I would do personal money since it's not like it's not relevant to the realm that much unless there's bandits or something out there.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can put in 100 personal.
Okay, so 200 gold. Because you're spending personal money, is it safe to assume you're trying to hire essentially like mercenaries or adventurers nearby that are willing to take this on? Or are you trying to find like volunteers from the castle and saying, hey, this is a mission that's important to me, but it's not, realm business. But because you work here, we're hoping you'd be willing to do this, and we've got this. Like, give me an idea. Are you trying to go in or out? I guess is what I'm looking for.
I would probably go out of house and just have them find, like, they don't even necessarily need to rescue anybody, but just find out what's going on, where they were taken.
Okay, so that's 300 gold then to basically have a scouting group head that way and see what they can find out.
Yeah.
Serena's gonna go to the mercenaries and read them the riot act and see what can be done to resolve the situation.
Okay, so Serena, throw me I'm going to say 2 blind checks. The first one is going to be insight to basically gauge how things really are going there and like your investigation efforts to learn like lay of the land kind of stuff. And then the second one is you say read in the riot act. So I'm going to assume this is like an intimidation of their leader. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so yep, go ahead and throw those 2 blind checks. Okay, so what I will say is once you get there, you find no signs of any kind of disruption. You're looking around for like citizens that might be upset or complaining. You don't find any. You talk to the mercenaries themselves. They essentially, regale you with how they defeated those goblins and they saved this province, and wow, isn't that great of how good of a job they did? And they certainly are boastful, and they're happy to like drink with you if you're willing to drink with them. And they just seem like maybe a little bit rowdy soldiers, but you don't spot any kind of signs of disruption, anything like Dame Cassandra explained to you. when you then kind of try to, tell them like, hey, you guys got to get your act together and so forth, they don't seem to react like, like the leader. You eventually learn that the leader of this mercenary group, his name is Althalos. And, he's like, hey, everything's going fine. We're doing what we are supposed to. We saved this province. What is your concern? You kind of start getting a little bit, abrupt with them and saying, maybe you've heard stories or you've heard talk about how things are here and you really want this stuff to cut it out. And he seems like he has no idea what you're talking about. And, boys will be boys kind of stuff. Sure, that's going to happen, but he doesn't seem to be intimidated in any way. And he's just happy to be taking money from the realm.
I am not going to drink with them, and I'm going to think that they're just trying to pull the wool over my eyes, and I am going to relocate them to a more isolated area where perhaps they won't have such ready access to civilians.
Okay, so essentially you're asking them like where they make their camp to be more out in the wilderness of the province.
No, I believe the term is commanding them.
Commanding them. Okay, fair enough. So they will certainly listen to your orders, but moving a unit of troops certainly takes time. So unless you're staying there for the days that it takes them to be on the move, you're not quite sure if they do this. But the leader says like, yeah, sure, we'll do that.
I know they will because I'm paying them. And I won't stay and babysit, but I will order them to move. I actually got to figure out what the plan is for them altogether, I suppose.
All right, fair enough.
But I don't tell them that. I go back to the capital.
All right, fair enough. So you give them this command then, and yeah, they don't. The leader is just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like you don't get the impression that they have like great discipline or anything. Again, they're mercenaries, so they're used to like fighting for one force and then going elsewhere and fighting for a different one. So yeah, but again, you don't see any real concerning signs either.
Well, before I leave, I give a speech about how their conduct is reflective on the Carolinian government, and they, by extension, are a part of it.
Okay,
for the time being.
You hope they take this seriously, but you can't really tell if they do or not.
Alrighty, I'm gonna head back and can resume my efforts to resolve some of the structural issues in the City Watch and like the patrol patterns and areas of town and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, fair enough. So we will assume that's where you're spending some of your other time during this month's downtime. Okay, if anybody else has anything to address, feel free to shout it out. Otherwise, I'm just sort of scanning through these post notes from our list to see if there's still outstanding items.
Also, I have a question about the robe of useful items. Should I roll the 4d4 now to determine the random patches or how many random patches there is, or?
Yeah, you certainly can do that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of randoms, so it says robe has 44 other patches. So yeah, let's do it random. So roll a 4d4, and then you can roll. Okay, so you'll get to roll on this table 12 times then. Just do me a favor. Each thing that you roll, make sure that you write that down like on your sheet somewhere.
Will do, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so I do notice that we had an outstanding item here from Mr. Heights. He was offering you guys the loan. You guys decided you wanted to take out 7 gold bars. Is that still the plan? Reminder that originally your collateral was going to be Dian's tentacle rod, which of course is not in play any longer.
We might have to get back to him. I don't know.
We need to
I don't
go
know if we have
recoup his
anything.
body. I mean, find his robes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can come up with that much collateral.
All right, so then we will assume that you're buying time, essentially, like, kind of not telling him no, but also not telling him yes. You're like, oh, give us some more time. Things are busy. So he's kind of waiting, you might say.
He deserves it.
Okay, I don't see anything else that's critical to address. Again, there's always going to be some items that I worry that are going to kind of fall through the cracks. So if there's anything that you guys know of, like I'm going to look at the previous months as well, because I know there was the issue like with the Triton. You guys said you wanted to maybe engage with him to try to reduce the debris going down the river, but I don't know that you ever took any decisive action. So I'm sure there's a few things like that, but is there anything else critical anybody wants to address?
I'll just say regarding that, our intention was to reach out to Thosone. We were given a name that I don't remember in her court that coordinated with him on that, and we were going to ask her. I think it was a woman.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, what steps they took, and if we might be able to replicate it in our.
Okay,
domain.
fair enough. So yeah, so some of those things, I would also, advise you guys to look at the previous month's petition. If you see anything there that you're like, oh yeah, I definitely want to follow up on this. If you guys don't follow up on it, it kind of just, goes away eventually, or it might turn into something else. But, I'm sure I won't be able to track everything. So, some of these things, if you guys decide not to address them, that's also totally fine. But I just want to make sure if there's something that you do want to address that you bring it up.
Well, we did try to negotiate. We wanted to negotiate the metal for the rat people. Did we ever get that taken care of?
You did not. And you mean you wanted to try to secure a supply of metal to the rat folk so it would be easier for them because you found out that they were being way overcharged.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we wanted to hire even just a middleman that would just get a small percentage of what they were getting because they could just buy that stuff for them and sell it to them.
Okay, gotcha. So you're basically looking to hire somebody who acts as like the face to then interact with the merchants, hopefully get the metal at normal price, and then get it delivered over to the rat folk.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to just take a little bit of what the rat folk are getting gypped out of, so they pay a little bit more than the price, just so that pay the guy, so we don't have to do anything with it.
Got it. So you're looking for this to be a wash.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So again, if you want to lead the efforts on that, Blixel, go ahead and throw me a blind check. This is going to be a combination of a couple of skills. So I'm actually going to ask for 2 blind checks here. Okay, so based on the results of those 2 checks, I will say you do find an individual who is willing to sort of act as the face. This is a half-elf man. He introduces himself as Janshai, and Janshai says essentially like, yeah, that's no problem. He's happy to, take care of this. He understands how the market works and how people try to raise prices and so forth. You kind of fill him in on how much the rat folk were paying before. And so he is going to be able to lower their price and cover the cost of his time and effort. And so basically the rat folk are going to save money from what they're paying before. They won't pay the flat value because, again, like you say, you're covering this guy's costs. But based on what he tells you, it seems this meets your needs.
All right, and make sure you treat them with respect now, Janshai. We need them on our side.
He will nod towards you and he will say, oh, yes, no problem. I've taken care of deals like these with both my hands tied behind my back. This will be no concern.
Okay, can I make an insight check on him just to make sure he's not
That was one of your blind checks.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And it didn't cost us a thing. So again, whistles back into the castle.
Okay, excellent. So you guys have that avenue set up as well. All right, so that takes care of some of these outstanding items. If there's anything else outstanding that you guys want to address, if not, we've got several days until the next session of council. So we're nearing the end of our session time here today, but for planning for next week, is it you guys' intention to pass time until the next session of council, or do you have other arrangements or plans that you would like to make?
I hate to say it, but I think we should go back into the thing with the Krell, clear it out. We want that
Serena's up for
gold.
that.
Or Grick, sorry, whatever it is.
I suppose we should ask, did the expedition, has the expedition's experience soured with us? Like, do we think this is something they're still going to pursue? I heard rumblings that they may think it's not worth it.
I will say in general, as you engage with them, they're concerned about security for sure. So they don't want to just go down there willy nilly. They're exploring different security efforts. And because the split was already agreed and you guys are supposed to be protecting them, they're expecting you guys to fund the protection aspect. So, speaking with Wally, he will certainly let you know that he can hire a whole bunch of dwarven mercenaries to come and protect them to the point where they will feel really safe, but that's going to come out of your part. So, what I mean, yeah, they're willing to go if they're protected, essentially, is what it boils to.
I think the tunnels are so massive, and like, sure, we deal with the Grick or the Grell, and maybe the Orogs too, but who knows how much else could come there. I don't think we can personally afford to spend however many days or weeks it's going to take, because a lot happened while we were gone, and a lot is going to keep happening. So I think this is something maybe we go back with them as like the initial clearing the path, but I think this is going to need to be something that we muster like a more permanent protection for them while we oversee our own duties, if that makes sense.
And I know this is kind of like several sessions ago, but I actually think we should go in and clear out that creature in the sewer at some time too, before it gets too big.
Yeah. I mean,
That can just become dangerous, and then we can if we were able to beat that thing, and then we could bring it around town and say, look at the heroes kind of thing, right? Maybe build the morale up in the city.
I don't know how the city would feel about a 100-foot insect being dragged out of their sewers.
Yeah, not alive. I'm saying when it's dead.
I know that, but they're gonna start wondering what else is down there.
All right, so we've got some different ideas here on the table. So Blixel said go back to the tunnels. It sounds like Saline is saying maybe farm that out to a cost, right? Like higher protection and let them handle that instead. So I guess I'm looking for a vote there, or just an idea of what the group is thinking. Is that something you guys want to engage in, or do you want to try to farm that out for a cost?
I'm fine farming it out for a cost, but my only issue with it is we don't know what all is in there still. So it's got to be someone very loyal to the count. We said.
Very skilled. I mean, Serena's first vote is definitely to go back ourselves because she's hoping to retrieve Dean's body or personal effects, but
I'll
Yeah,
say I'm not opposed to the team going back. I just think that sooner or later we're gonna have to establish a more permanent presence there that I don't think our group has the time to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But for next session in particular, is that what I should plan for? That you guys intend to go back under the Stone Crown Mountains?
I think it only makes sense. I mean, I would hope that you guys would go back from my body if it was potentially relatively available, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he
I-
does have a family here, you know.
And there's gold.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought we would
Yeah, yeah.
clear out the area so that it's safe, and then obviously like a permanent gold mining operation could be set up.
Sure.
All right,
Do
so
we have the
that's where.
opportunity to long rest?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you right. That's what I'll plan for next session then. So yes, you guys will long rest. You'll all get to level 7. So make sure you level your characters up. Let me know if there's any issues or questions about the level up. I will assume then next week it is your intention to make the expedition back to the mountains. You're not going to take the dwarves with you at this point because you're waiting to make sure it's all safe and secure down there. So you might do a bit more exploring, but you're really going to try to make that area where it's suitable to bring the miners back in and actually set that up as a legitimate thing. I will assume you're also going to ask around about more permanent protection for them, and we'll discuss like what a cost of that is. And then, yeah, if you guys can get the gold mine up and running, obviously that's really beneficial for you. So that will be my assumption of what you guys are planning for next week. But like I say, if there's any questions, let me know. And yeah, look at that. We are right at the end of our session time. Any last minute comments or questions?
Just sorry, Brian. It sucks to lose a character, so sorry we couldn't grab Dean and save him.
Yeah, thanks, guys. No, I didn't disengage. It's on me. I just ran away and got caught. But hey, good news is that, everyone else is safe. Thanks, Go.
We sacrificed one to save the many.
I don't think I
Yeah.
would have disengaged if Blixel didn't disengage because I was like, yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, that thing was nasty with the reach. I was hoping to grab your foot and I had lay on hands. I could have still done that on you, but anyways.
Well, I'll tell you guys. I and I'll talk to Adam later. I'm a little. Are we off recording, Adam?
We are not at the moment, but why don't we go ahead and say, great session, everybody. We'll see everybody next week.
Yeah. See you guys.
Good.